Hello, what we will do in the previous video we did this table, and here we will do this table. As you can see, the table is a little bit more complex. So what is already done, the data for this table is stored in a list of pin objects, and a pin object is something that have a title, a reference number, a pin, a serial number, a date, and a path for the picture. Okay, in other words, for each item we will have an object like this, and as you can see we have here Popeye, and in the title we have Popeye. We have the reference number, the pin, the serial number, the date, and the path for the picture. Also, the base code to create a PDF will be exactly the same as the previous video, and if you don't understand these, please check out the video. The link is in the description of this one. Okay, the new code will go here where we have the comment code. How we will do this? We cannot have a table where rows have different columns numbered, and here we have in the first row one column, the second row have 3 columns, the third have just 2, and the fourth have a mix of rows and columns, and is very confusing. Okay, also take notice this picture is in this square, but because of its size it can go a little bit over its borders. Okay, so going back to our question, how we will do this. It's possible to have tables inside tables, and if you know HTML, the idea is pretty much the same, but it requires a lot of code. From scratch we will create a table that will be called pin element table, and it will have 4 rows. The first row will be for the title, the second row will be a table for the reference number with 3 columns, the third will be for the pin, and the fourth will be for the serial number, the date, and for the picture. This table have 2 columns. The first column will be for the serial number and for the date, and the second column will be just for the picture. Let's do this. Since we will create tables, we need to import table from ReportLab.platypus. Let me go a little down and add here some space. To simplify the code, we will create a function to generate a pin element table. So let me paste here the skeleton of the function, and it is called generate pin table. It will receive a pin object and it will return a pin element table. Also, it is divided in 2 steps. The first step is build the structure, is equivalent of creating the HTML part of a website, and the second part is add the style, is equivalent of creating the CSS part of a website. Okay, let's start creating tables. The first one will be the title table, that is equals to table, and the data will be pin.title. Also, we want to give it a width. Let me define here a general width for the table, and it will be pin element width is equals to 250. We go here to our table and we say that the size of each column in the table will be pin element width. Since we just have one column, it will be the width of the entire table. Let me go a little down, and now we define the reference number table, that is equals to table. The data will be reference number text, pin.reference number, the value, and another static text. The size of each column will be defined in a list of sizes. The size of the first column will be 60. The size of the second column, the reference number, will be 120, and the size for the last column will be 70. This column. Let's go a little down again, and now we define the table pin table, where we have 2 columns. The first one is the pin, the text pin, and the second one is the value of pin.pin. The values for the columns will be 60 for the first column and 190 for the second column. What we just did was creating the title table, the reference number table, and the pin table. Let's create more tables. One table for the serial number. It has two columns. The first column is this text, and the second column is the value of the serial number. The width of the first column will be 60, and the other will get the rest of the space. Let's go a little down, and another table for the date. It has three columns. The first column will have this text. The second column will have the month, slash, the day, slash, and the year. The third column will have the hour, upper I, for a range between 1 and 12, the minutes, the seconds, and percentage P for AM, PM. About the width of the first column will be 60 again, and the others will have the rest of the space. Let's go a little down again, and we create the table serial date table, where the serial table and the date table will be rows. We just created the serial table, the date table, and the serial date table. The next table will contain a picture, so we need to create a picture that is an image, and we provide the pin.picPath. Also, we say that the width of the picture is 30 and the height of the picture is 30. And then after this we can define our pic table, that is equals to table, we provide the picture and we provide the size for the width and the size for the height. After this we can create another table. Let me go a little down, and it will be the serial date pic table, and it will have the serial date table and the picture table. The first column will have a width of 190 and the second column will have a width of 50. One final step here, we need to import these. So let's go up and we go to the import part here, and we will import image from ReportLab.platypus. Now we created a picture table, and also we added these two tables to the serial date pic table. Now let's create the last table. Pin element table is equals to table, and it will have the rows title table, reference number table, pin table, and finally the serial date pic table. And the width for the columns of this table, that is just one column, will be pin element width. To finish the pin element, we created the pin element table and we added the four rows: the title table, the reference number table, the pin table, and the serial date pic table. The next step is add the style to this table, but because we want to see results, let's put these on standby for now, okay? Let me go a little down, and here we will do new code to add these to a table. The first thing that we need to do is declare a pins, and we call the function getPins. This will return a list of pins, those pins that I talked about in the slides. We declare the first pin and we call the function genPinTable, and we provide the first pin of the list of pins. The same for the others. We get the second pin, the third pin, and the fourth pin. After these, we will create the main table, that is equals to a table, and we provide the first row with the values P1 and P2, and the second row will be P3 and P4. After these, and let me go a little down so we can see everything, we just need to add the main table to the elements. So we go here, elements, dot append the main table, and finally we created the main table and added these pin elements. And if we run the code, it will generate this PDF. Okay, now we just need to add the style. Let's add the style, and before we forget, we need to import table style from ReportLab.platypus and import colors from ReportLab.lib. Let's go down, and here we will add the style. The first thing that we will do is add style to the title table. So we declare a title table style that is equals to table style. We align the text to the center. We set the font size to be 12, and also we change the font to be Helvetica oblique. By the way, let me leave here in this section code that will list all the available fonts, so you can choose what font you want. Let's go down, and here we defined a style, okay, and now we have to set the style to the table. So title table dot set style, and we provide the title table style. You see the logic. We have here title table, and we set the title table style. Okay, so for the others will be exactly the same thing. For the reference number table, we set the reference number table style, and here we are aligning the text to the left. For the pin table, we want to set the font size to 13. We want to set the vertical align to the top. We are pushing the text to the top, and we set the font name Helvetica Bold. So we have these, and if we run the code, we got this. The title is centered, this text is aligned to the left, and this text is bold. Now let's remove the padding of these 3 rows. We go here to the title style, and we set top padding to be 0 and the bottom padding to be 0. Let's go to the reference number style, and we do the same. The same goes for the pin table style. Top padding and bottom padding equals to 0. Running the code, we get this. Now let's do the same to these 2 rows. We set the padding for the serial table, the date table, and also the serial date table. We have these, and we get these. By the way, let's remove the left padding of these 2 lines. For that, we need to remove the left padding of the serial date table, the one that have the serial number table and the date table. We have these, and after running the code we got these. Now let's format the picture. Since the code is almost the same thing, I will just paste here the code, and the only difference here is that in the picture table we are setting the left padding to be 15, okay? Then we are setting the padding to be 0 in the serial date peak table, the one that is the last row of the pin element table. So we add these, and now we have these, and the final part will be setting here a border in the pin element table. And here I just paste here the code for that. We set a border is a black box, and it has a thickness of 3. Also, I am removing the top padding and the bottom padding. And finally we have these, and now we have these. This is the end. You can download the source code, the link is in the description of this video. Don't forget to like and share with your friends if you find the video helpful. It will help me back. As always, thank you for watching.